Well, hi, everybody. Peter Greenberg here on this first Friday of December 2024. I send you greetings off the coast of Trieste in Italy. I'm on board a quick little shakedown cruise of the brand new Viking ocean ship, the Viking Vela. And we'll have more on that a little bit later on when we come back. First, lots of stuff to talk about in the news. Before we get into international airfares dropping, which they are, and some interesting decisions that JetBlue is making. The sentimentalist in me wants to share an anniversary with you that happened 33 years ago yesterday, December 4th, 1991. It was the last flight of, show it, Pan Am. That's the day Pan Am ceased to operate. And sadly, they did go away. We miss them. One of the great American flag carriers. Interesting to note that at the last minute, Delta was supposed to rescue them. They didn't. Delta took over many of their European routes, and in an act of arrogance and stupidity, decided not to keep the Pan Am name. And interestingly enough, with one exception, within a year, every route that the new Delta Airlines was flying that had been originally flown by Pan Am went away. Because in Europe, nobody knew what Delta was. They knew Pan Am. And the one route that's still flown today by Delta, Nice. That was the old Pan Am route from JFK to Nice. So there you have it. All right. Sad stories there. And we remember Pan Am very fondly. Of course, the other reason why U.S. airlines were in the news this week, they got a grilling on Capitol Hill by senators about, guess what, junk fees. Everybody's like the Claude Rains character in Casablanca, shocked to finding out that gambling is going on in Rick's Casino. The junk fees have been around for a long time, otherwise known as ancillary fees. And, they singled out a couple of airlines like, Spirit and Frontier, but every airline does it one way or another. And a lot of the senators were claiming this was wrong. It was cruel, unusual punishment. It was failure to disclose. It was a lack of transparency. And we could argue it was all of the above. The airlines, for their part, argued back that if you took away the junk fees, airfares had nowhere to go but up. But by keeping the junk fees, passengers still had a choice. Well, technically they're correct, but you have a choice to fly with no bags. You have a choice to fly with no food. You have a choice to fly with no real seat. And you have a choice to fly, where we're going here. So let's see what happens with that, but at least it made for good television, and hopefully something good will come out of that. JetBlue pulling out of more routes to Europe, especially London and Paris. This is part of their at a point that they were trying to become a key player in the transatlantic market. They're pulling back significantly. We'll see what this means down the road. Of course, they're doing so at a time of the year that it makes sense to do it for all airlines. And that brings up the airfare story. International airfares right now are plummeting. We talked about this for the last 3 weeks. It's continuing. If you saw the Travel Tuesday deals 2 days ago, how many of them were for overseas travel? A lot. Why? People aren't ready to go yet. They're still recovering from how much money they spent on travel for the rest of this year. And as a result, we're seeing numerous round trip fares between the U.S. and key cities in Europe of under $500. And the good news there, well, I'll give you the cautious news. It's not every seat on every flight. The good news is most of these fares extend through March. with the exception perhaps of the Christmas holiday season. One thing we can also talk about, and you don't hear me say this often, but congratulations to the airlines and the FAA because of the numbers that came out over the Thanksgiving holiday period. It set a record, right? A couple of days ago on Sunday, it was the largest number of travelers ever screened in any one day in the entire history of the TSA, 3.1 million. But the good news is the cancellation rates were almost flatlined. The delay rates were minimal. The weather was forgiving. But the real key factor here, and there's a lesson to be learned and hopefully continue to be applied, is that the FAA, knowing about the volume, actually opened up previously closed military airspace to commercial flying. And what that allowed the airlines to do, and most importantly, the air traffic controllers to do, was to keep planes in the air and keep separation. And in the event of bad weather, allowed the airplanes to fly around it, as opposed to calling for ground stops and not even letting planes take off. That was a good thing. So coming into the Christmas holiday season, which is starting in about 9 days, let's see if the FAA does release that airspace again. It worked once, and it can work again. All right, moving along. The first pet-friendly cruise is about to set sail next year from Tampa. It's on a 2,600 passenger ship that says, the company says, they can accompany, put your leash on, 250 dogs. You want to take that cruise? I'm sure the dogs do. I'll have more on that as we get closer to that. All right, now, there are, every week I try to give you at least one stupid thing in travel. We have a bonus today, a post-Thanksgiving bonus. We have 2 candidates for stupid travel. And let me lead into this. A new survey that just came out said that 41% of travelers support an idea of a full ban on airline seats that recline. Who are these people? First of all, let me refresh our memories here with a short little video that I took on board a British Airways flight not that long ago, showing what I mean by stupidity on airline seats reclining. Roll the video. Welcome aboard the brand new British Airways A320. Not exactly known for great legroom, as you can see, but they do have a sense of humor. I want to show you how the seat reclines. Are you ready? They actually came up with this as a design innovation. Amazing. Brilliant. Watch. Here we go. That's it. Want to see it again? Let's go. Ready? It reclines. That's it. Stupid. Yeah, stupid. Why did they even put the button in there? So, but I don't think that's what these 41% of people are talking about. They're talking about a seat that reclines back into your knees, your chest, your neck, and your tray table digging into your stomach. Look, as more and more airlines cram more and more seats into planes, where you need the cast from Cirque du Soleil to just get into the bathroom and wash 2 hands in the sink at the same time, which, by the way, on certain American flights is physically impossible, even if you are a member of the Cirque du Soleil staff. I understand why people don't want seats to recline, but that's not a lobbying group I want to be a part of. I want to be a part of a group that says every seat should recline with enough space so that you're not injuring the passenger behind you, right? Here's another thing. Every plane should be able to accommodate passengers and their carry-on bags. The reason why it doesn't happen is the airlines have crowded too many seats on the planes that either don't recline or ornamentally recline, and there's not enough carry-on space then for all the bags. The airlines have done this to themselves while they're doing it to you. All right, now I promised you two stupid candidates tonight. You just saw the first one. By the way, it's about 10 minutes after midnight here off the coast of Trieste. but we're still up. I hope you still are. Here's candidate number 2 for stupidity. Okay, first let me set the scene. I am not a fan of destination weddings. I think it can be cruel and unusual punishment to the guests, because when do they usually have them? Memorial Day, July 4th, and Labor Day. It ruins my vacation. It ruins my weekends. As much as I love you, I don't want to come. Okay, here it comes. A couple's getting married, a destination wedding. Okay, a destination wedding. And to sweeten the deal for the invitees, they said they were going to pay all their accommodations. Okay, so cannot make this up. All the guests arrived to find out that, oh yeah, they had their accommodations paid for. They were booked 4 to a room in a budget motel. There's nothing else I can say about that. Happy destination wedding, and my point is proven once again. Okay, now, here's one that doesn't surprise anybody if you've been watching me. Southwest is now announcing added assigned seating in 2025, and we knew that was coming, right? You're going to get a boarding pass with a seat on it, and there'll be premium seating that you're going to have to upsell on if you want it. They're also doing something else. Very interesting. We'll see if the other airlines follow suit. Because they claim, Southwest Airlines claims, that they've had an increase in the number of flight attendant injuries during descent because of turbulence. They've changed the protocols for when that seatbelt sign comes on, and you got to put your tray table up and your seat in the upright position, assuming it reclines, and stow away your laptop. In the old days, that was yesterday, they would make that announcement slightly below 10,000 feet. And that's when the flight attendants would come down the aisle, pick up all discarded service items, pick up the garbage, and you'd have to do all the other things. Well, protocols have now changed. They're going to make that announcement at 18,000 feet. And that means for those folks who want to do the math, it'll be about 12 to 14 minutes earlier. And what that means is all of you want to using Wi-Fi, you won't be able to do it. Want to keep your tray table down, you won't be able to do it. Got to keep your seatbelt on. You better go to the bathroom earlier, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But the airline says it's really doing this in the interest of safety. I take them at their word. It'll be interesting now to see if anybody follows suit from other airlines, because if it's a safety issue, you know what? Why not? All right, let's go say hello to some folks. I'm going to stroll up here. Hello, Jeff from Iowa. And Matthew's saying hi from Syracuse. Lorena's saying, joining you from a lot of snow in Lansing, Michigan. Go Spartans. Sandy's saying hi from Charlotte. Jean's saying hi from Tulsa. Melanie's saying hi from Semi-Chili, Miami. That's Semi-Chili. Semi-Chili. Tim Kelly's saying greetings from Atlanta. And thank you for your nice note. Colleen's saying we are heading for a 7-day yoga retreat at the Blue Spirit Resort in Costa Rica in March of 2025. We're arriving a week early to explore the area for activities like kayaking, ziplining. Yeah, I do. And that is the Tamaranda area is where you're going to see the nesting and the hatching of the giant leatherback sea turtles. And they always come back to the same place every year. I don't know the actual dates. You need to check. But if you coincide with that, it's a remarkable experience. It starts usually at about midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning. You're not allowed to bring your cameras, no flash photos. It'll all be in infrared light. But to watch these prehistoric animals basically crawl up onto the beach and dig their holes and hatch their and lay their eggs is it's a remarkable experience. So I hope you get a chance to do that. Okay, Lorena Jenkins is saying Breeze Airlines is doing seasonal flights from here. Where's here? To Orlando and Fort Myers. I don't know why they promote it as inexpensive. They even charge for a carry-on. Not sure if that includes a purse. By the time you add it all up, you can fly Delta for the same price. Only benefit is a direct flight from Lansing. Well, there's your benefit. If the fares actually even out and you don't have to change planes and it's nonstop, why wouldn't you do it? But again, this goes back to the argument that the airlines that are charging these fees are making, that if they didn't charge for them, the fares would go up and you'd lose your quote unquote choice. All right. Willie's saying, greetings from Denver. Thank you, Willie. Camilla's once again in Tucson. Dorothy's saying hi from Northern Nevada. Tayo says, I'm planning to visit Vietnam in February. Good weather. Denying to be specific. Any airlines to look for good deals besides Singapore Airlines and Cathay Pacific? Yeah. Think about the airlines that fly to and from Thailand, because getting from Bangkok to Vietnam is a 40-minute flight. So think about that. Okay. And Tim says, am I going to have a coupon show? Oh, excuse me, a coupon code for the travel show in Atlanta? What he's referring to is, of course, starting in January, I'm back speaking at all the major travel and adventure shows between January and April, and I hope you'll see me on that. What I'll do is next week, I'll ask Anthony to post that schedule so you can see where I'll be speaking. I know I'll be speaking in Chicago, Atlanta, New York, Washington, D.C., Phoenix, Denver, San Francisco, and L.A. So I hope at one of those cities, if you happen to be there, please come out. Be glad to talk to you and have a conversation. And hopefully we'll both learn some stuff. We'll publish that schedule next week. So Tayo says those seat reclines are a joke. Yes, they are. Wendy says, hello from New Jersey. Any comment on the new requirements for travelers entering the UK? Yeah, it's happening. It's called an ETA, an Electronic Travel Authority. It's essentially an online visa. You have to go online, apply for it at least 72 hours before you're going to fly. So it's sort of ruling out a lot of last minute flyers. It's going to cost you about $12.50 to $13. You need it to show the gate agent and the counter agent when you're checking in for your flight to the UK. Without it, you're not leaving the US, and you can't process it at the airport. You got to do it at least 72 hours before you leave home and before your flight departs, to give yourself enough time for that ETA or visa application to be approved. And shortly thereafter, the 26 countries of the European Union are doing the exact same thing. All right. Okay. Here we go. Where are we? Oh, yeah. What are my thoughts, Tayo says, on visiting Eastern Europe, specifically countries that neighbor Russia and Ukraine? I have no issue. I'll give you an example. Visiting Poland. It's a great country. We did it. 2 one-hour specials there. The Royal Tour of Poland with then Prime Minister Morawiecki, and also we did a 1-hour special called Hidden Poland. Absolutely time to go. Okay? And the airspace is not closed over Poland. You'll be okay. Sandy says we're flying from Entebbe with a 1-hour layover in Brussels to Charles de Gaulle on September 2nd. It's the only connection, and we know it's tight. Yeah, it is tight. Do you think we can make the flight to Charles de Gaulle? Well, wait a second. You're flying from Entebbe with that 1-hour layover in Brussels. Which airline are you flying? That's important to know. Are you checking bags? That's important to know. So you want a plan B? Fly to Brussels a day earlier, have a day in Belgium, and then get back on the plane and go the next day. If that's not possible, then there are a couple of things you need to do. Number one, are you checking bags? If so, get yourself an air tag. Number two, when you check in for your flight initially in Entebbe, ask them if they can confirm the bag has been scanned, right, with that barcode and loaded. And when you get to Brussels, you go right to that gate for your connecting flight to Paris and ask them the exact same question. A 1-hour layover in Brussels might not be difficult if your initial flight is on time. A 1-hour layover at Charles de Gaulle, which you don't have, is almost suicidal, especially if you're changing terminals. Okay. Lois is saying hi from Bainbridge Island. Okay. Diane, is it Nakano or Nakano? Hello from Roseville, California. What is the easiest way to get from Venice Airport to Trieste? And how long does it take? Well, you know what? It's easy. It's only about 35 to 40 minutes. And the best way to do it, if you have no bags, there's a bus service. You're going to have bags. So take a taxi. It'll be about $50 to $60. Okay. Uh, Harriet and Jim are saying hi. And for the first time in weeks, they're late saying hi, but I forgive you. Nancy's saying hi from chilly Buffalo Grove, Illinois. Sandy says, yes, it's Brussels Airlines, and we have checked bags. Well, the good news is it's Brussels Airlines all the way through to Charles de Gaulle. So it's one airline to another transfer. You should be okay as long as your initial flight is on time. Okay? Let's go to some other questions that you guys have asked. Let me pull those up. All right. Jevy says, hello, Peter. I recently had the opportunity to watch your show about Saudi Arabia. I would love to hear more about your personal experiences that may not have been highlighted in the show. Specifically, as someone who isn't Muslim, how do you view women's roles in the treatment of the labor class in the region? Well, I've been going to Saudi Arabia since Gulf War I, when they weren't exactly granting visas, but they had to American journalists at that time. The changes are dramatic and mostly positive. Women can drive. Women do not have to be covered. It's now a choice. There are more Saudi women in institutions of higher learning than right now, which is a good sign. Keep in mind that 75% of the population is under the age of 35. So they're an energetic, enthusiastic workforce. So is everything great? Absolutely not. Have the strides been dramatic and positive? They have. I encourage you to go and take a look. You saw my show about Saudi Arabia, so you saw what we did. We weren't out there promoting Saudi Arabia; we were simply presenting it, and I hope those things came across. Now, is there still work to be done? Yes. At the same time, other things are changing rapidly. Rumor has it they just opened the first liquor store in Saudi Arabia. In other parts of the region, they may be building casinos. Now, I'm not sure that's such a great idea, but it's an indication of how things are beginning to loosen up across the board, not just with women and women's rights, but with freedoms in general. So obviously, we'll continue to monitor that. Okay. Sarah says, how safe is Brazil right now? We've been reading a lot about theft there, and I'm wanting to solve the country. Well, I'll give you one example. Rio. You go one block off Copacabana or Ipanema, there's a lot of street crime. So travel by numbers, at least with more than one person. Don't wear a lot of flashy clothing or jewelry. And if don't take a handbag on the street, because what these thieves do, and please don't misinterpret this. I'm not telling you this is happening 100 times a day. It's not, but it's been happening there as long as I've been going there, where you have handbag thieves that will literally ride by on their bicycle and slice off your shoulder harness and steal the whole bag before you know what's going on. So if you're on the streets, travel with somebody else and pack really light and put it in pockets, right? No expensive jewelry, no big shoulder bags, and you'll be fine. I have never had a problem having said that, and no woman that I know who's been with me or by themselves, to me, I'm talking about my friends, has ever had a problem either. It's about situational awareness, and it wouldn't stop me from going anywhere in Brazil. And if you get a chance, it's not just Rio and Sao Paulo. It's also Florianopolis. Go north to Fortaleza and places like Jericoacoara, to one of my favorite places, Fernando de Noronha, where there are more spinner dolphins and turtles than people. And I haven't seen one of them steal a purse yet. So there you have it. Let's keep going. Where is this? Oh, Maria says I'm planning a short trip to Helsinki. I've got the main attractions like the cathedral on my list, but I'd love some off the beaten path recommendations. All right, here you go. You ready? Rovaniemi. Where is it? Time to everybody to get an atlas. You're going up to Lapland. It's about a 35-minute flight from Helsinki, dressed in layers, and you're going to have a tremendous time. You might even drive a reindeer, but that's where the Sami people are. And I've had the fortune of and the good fortune of going up on a number of trips up there. It's wild, and it's an amazing educational experience as well. That to me is a good day trip from Helsinki. Okay, here's one. I'll be visiting Cancun in January, only for a brief stop before moving on to Merida, Campeche, Oaxaca. Okay, I was wondering, where should I stay in Cancun? Should I go for El Centro, or is Zona Hotelera, excuse me, a better, safer option for 2 nights? I have a favorite place in Cancun, and it's not easy for me to say I have a favorite place in Cancun because there are just too many high-rise hotels. It's their bad impression of Miami Beach. But there's one there called LeBlanc, LE space BLANC, and it's an all-inclusive. But when they say all-inclusive at this place, there's no asterisk. It's serious. It's everything's all-inclusive. Even your international phone calls are free. The food is great. The liquor choices, for those of you who drink, are wild and varied. And you're not just getting generic, bottles of gin. We're talking top shelf. If you want a steak, they have 9 different kinds that they cook to order. They make about 20 flavors of ice cream a day. Their water sports are included, and the rooms are great. So that would be my choice. And L says, is it just me, or did Southwest Airlines recently really raise their prices? Well, it's by route, so I can't tell you. If we can do a route comparison and see what they've done. And of course, you haven't told me what day you were trying to book it or what time of the year. So I can't give you a detailed answer unless you give me much more of a detailed question, and I'm happy to do that for you. Let's see here. Hold on. I got more people here. Hold on a second. Scroll up here. All right. Adrian saying hi from Surf City, otherwise known as Huntington Beach. Sherry saying, see you again at the Denver Travel Show. You bet. Martha saying, hi, Peter. We're going to Norway in June. What is the best way to visit the fjords? Well, there are, out of Oslo, some great ferry systems there that you can take. And it's important for you, though, to tell me the fjords you want before I can give you a specific recommendation of an individual ferry. Okay. The other way to do it, of course, is to go through an American cruise line. I did it with Celebrity. We did the fjords. It was stunning, and you're going at the perfect time of the year, June of 2025. This is the one time I'd recommend a cruise, not just the ferry. Okay. Colleen says, here's an interesting tip. If it's in the summer, there are ferries running between Venice and Trieste. Otherwise, Go Gupti will pick you up, and there you go. That's right on our screen there. Okay. Jim and Harriet says, what do you think the impact of travel to South Korea will be given the current situation? Well, the situation in South Korea right now is still fluid, and nobody's really explaining exactly what happened. But for those of you who've been following the news, the president of South Korea surprised everybody by imposing martial law. For those of you who don't know what that means, South Korea in the past, and I remember being there, I was there when it happened. It happened once in 1917, happened once when a president was assassinated. When they declare martial law, we've got tanks on the streets. We've got curfews. We've got cities being shut down. In this situation, his order was withdrawn within 5 hours of his giving it. So I'm not worried. I would sure like an explanation, but it would not stop me from going to South Korea tomorrow. The country, the official explanation, he was worried about pending actions by North Korea. They've been worried about pending actions by North Korea since 1951. So hasn't stopped me from going before, won't stop me from going now. And the good news is the martial law order has been lifted. Okay. Stephen says, do I have any favorite museums in Dublin? I do. And I'll tell you why, because it's interactive and you get involved. It's the Irish Heritage Center right there in the middle of Dublin, where genealogists, and this is not a stunt, they do this for real, trace your entire ancestry and your entire family tree. And it's fascinating. I had it done for me. An amazing, amazing deal. No, I'm not Irish, but you can still kiss me. But bottom line is, I learned so much about my family and where they came from on both my mother and father's side, simply because I went in there, not even knowing they did it. And somebody asked me if I'd like them to do it, and they did, and it was amazing. So check that out. Okay. Oh, Cher's just going to please put the Cancun hotel name in the comments. I'm just going to give it to you. Le Blanc, Blanc, LeBlanc. Okay. All right. Lorraine says, I agree about Southwest Airlines. Just booked LAX to Baltimore mid-January for post-Christmas, and it was $209 more than UA. Nonstop flights on both. Needless to say, I chose United for less than $300 round trip. Wow. I will start looking at those on a route-by-route basis, and we'll talk about it next week, okay? And we just did put this, there it is, LeBlanc Spa Resort in Cancun. It's in Cancun. It's on the chats, in the comments. Oh, you know what? Let's do the photo of the week. You got to like this, although you shouldn't be leaning out of the train, right? You shouldn't be leaning out of the train. But Tracy, as in Kokanee, survived enough to send us this picture. We were riding the White Pass and Yukon Railroad north from Skagway, Alaska, this past June. It was a gloomy day, but the scenery was still spectacular. There was an outside platform on the car we were riding in. All of a sudden, we came around a curve, and the sun peeked out for just a minute, lighting up the mountains. It was amazing to learn about the history and hardships of the Yukon Gold Rush in the late 1800s in this beautiful, harsh environment. Okay, but be careful about leaning out of the train, right? We did a segment on the Travel Detective about 2 seasons ago with some pretty, disturbing video. Let me just say, the name was Death by right? Be careful. So at this point, I'm going to say, check us out on the radio this weekend. It's coming up on Saturday, 10:05 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Time. That's Ion Travel on CBS. We'll be coming to you from Los Cabos in Mexico. And then next week, I will see you from another different location, this time in Europe, but I'm not going to tell you where. It'll be a surprise, like we always do. We'll see you then. And of course, check out your Amazon, your Apple TV. You'll see a lot of our shows, Hidden Belize. So thank you, everybody. It's now about 1:15 in the morning here, and I think I deserve to go slip into a coma. So I'll see you next week. Have a great rest of this first week of December, and always be safe. Thank you, Anthony, for helping out, and we'll see you next week.